ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಾವು ಹೊಯ್ಸಳ ಬಾಲವನ ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ಗಳಿತ್ತು, ಆ ವನ ಈ ವನ ಅಂತ, ಅಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮ ವನ, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ವಾರ್ಸ್ ವನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ಕರಿಯರ್ ವನ ಅಂತ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದೀವಿ. ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ವೃತ್ತಿ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿಗಿನರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಂಟರ್ಮೀಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ 15-20 ವರ್ಷ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇರೋರಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಈ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಂಪನಿಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ನೀವು ಗ್ರೋ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮುಂದುವರಿಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಯಾವ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿಗಳಿದೆ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಗ್ರೋ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಮಾತು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಓಪನ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಕೆಲಸ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವ್ರುಗಳು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಹರಟೆ ವೇದಿಕೆ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ವನದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದವರೇ ವಿನಯ್ ಹಾಗೂ ವಿನೋದ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾನು ಶ್ರೀಧರ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ HP ರೂವಾರಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದೀನಿ. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ವಿನೋದ್ ಹಾಗೂ ವಿನಯ್ ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಚಯ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ವಿನೋದ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಜಗನ್ನಾಥನ್ ಅಮೆಜಾನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಲೆಕ್ಸಾ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್ ಟೀಮ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ ವಿನೋದ್?
ನಾವು AWS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಾನು
AWS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. AWS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸಿಯಾಟಲ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು. ವಿನಯ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕೋ ಬೆಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ವಿನಯ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ರೋಲ್ ಏನು ಟ್ಯಾಕೋ ಬೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ?
I'm a manager of finance and strategy.
Finance and strategy. ವೆರಿ ನೈಸ್. ವಿನಯ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಆರೆಂಜ್ ಕೌಂಟಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ಓದಿ ಬೆಳೆದು ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಟ್ಯಾಕೋ ಬೆಲ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಶ್ರೀಧರ್ ರಾಜಣ್ಣ, ನಾನು ಅಮೆಜಾನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಿಯಾಟಲ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅಮೆಜಾನ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅಮೆಜಾನ್ ಬರೀ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಅಂಗಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಅಂಗಡಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಅಂಗಡಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಲೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಶೆಲ್ಫ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಶೆಲ್ಫ್ ಲೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಓನರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ತಂಡದಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಸೇ ಆ ಶೆಲ್ಫ್ ಲೇಬಲ್ಗೆ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಬರೀತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ನಾನು ವಿನೋದ್ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊತೀನಿ. ಅವರು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕೆರಿಯರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಕಂಪನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಯೂಶಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರಂತೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳೋಣ. ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್, ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಪ್. ಸೊ ವಿನೋದ್, ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು.
Thank you, Sridhar. Hello everyone. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ವಿನೋದ್ ಅಂತ. As Sridhar said, I'm a part of AWS. Have been in the industry for say 22 years now, so a lot of good experience, and I always believe that we have gone through so much transition in the last 2-3 decades, and every decade has been a transition, and the generation that I belong to has experienced a rapid transition in those generations. And so typically what happens, I believe, is that experience, as you gain experience is a comb that I think which you can't use for yourself sometimes, but it's better you actually share it with others so that they can benefit from it. So the idea that I came with Sridhar, myself and Vinay is it's just that everybody has some good experiences, so let's talk about it and let's share some ideas, and then we'll see who it benefits, and then we can continue this on a weekly basis, and then help people out if you have any concerns to be addressed. So from my perspective, I'm going to focus on the topic called how do you plan for a career change. Change is always good, and typically people kept asking me about, Nivu Naniga, I was in IBM, I was in Microsoft for 10 years, then I'm in IBM in Amazon right now. Madhyadalli nande startup one startup alli then I'm a group of folks alli. So all those things, we have tried it out and learned a lot of things from this process. And I was a developer, I became a product manager because my team wanted to be a product manager because it was a technical product at that time. And then I wanted to test my hands into the AI/ML space. So I said a product in that, going to a TPM role for a year or two will help me be closer to business and technology. And I consciously took that choice. And then now I'm a senior manager with the product team in AWS. So all those transitions have had some points, some specific reasons for which I have done. And that's how I went through it. And I wanted to talk about that aspect to you folks. So today I'll keep it short. As we go through multiple sessions, we can go talk about various things. So I'll start with telling how do you plan for a career change, right? The first thing is, for any change, that you're targeting, the end goal of that change should give you happiness. That's all matters, right? The other peripheral things are very different, right? They're all just contributing parameters, but you should just feel happy about the change. You should be committed towards the change. It should not be a compromise. It should not be a change because you're running away from something, but you're making a conscious decision to, try something new, right? So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದು 3 things use ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ tool ತರ. So I wanted to share that with you folks. This is I bring up this crazy picture. So ಒಂದು ಮುಖ ತರ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ ಅದು because you're thinking, you're panicking, what you don't know whether you're anxious, you're happy, or what it is. So, but this 2 triangle and a T is a sorry, yeah. So this 2 triangle and a T is a very good principle that you can follow when you want to make your career change, and I'll go through that what it is. So first of all, you should treat this particular place, I call it, is what you want, right? And then how do you plan to achieve it, right? How do you plan to strategize it? And the thing is, how are you going to spend your time to get there? So that's why I call it as a 2 triangle and inverted T as the whole process you follow. So typically what happens is, at any point in your stage in your career, the what part is, I call this 3 triangles here. One is whether you're looking for level, right? You want to be a senior manager, you want to be a principal engineer or something like that, or you're just looking for learning new things, right? So that's another thing. You're learning new things. This is level, right? And you're learning new things here. And the other thing is, sometimes you just want to make more money, right? So these are 3 triangles. And so what I suggest people is, you place yourself in which place of the triangle you want at this point. Are you doing this transition for money? Are you doing this transition to learn something new? Are you doing this transition to get some level? Of course, a single change can probably give all of this in various forms, but it's always not true that you'll get everything. So what I do is that you put your position here, right? Okay, this time it's money, some amount of level, some amount of level, and some amount of learning I'll get. But sometimes I'll compromise on money and level, I'll go for learning, right? And sometimes, I get level, but some bit of learning and money as well. So once you know what you want to do, the next triangle talks about how do you go do it, right? So the important thing is, for this effect of that particular event to happen, right, to make a decision to choose. So suppose you say that I want to spend some time and learn some new skills like machine learning now, right? And so I want to make sure that I'm going to take my next career move that takes me towards machine learning. Now, for that, to get to that stage, to get the job opportunity in the career, you need to make sure that, you build the skills towards it, so that, you augment your skills. What's the base skills that you have to get that particular job and stuff. Next thing is, is there an opportunity that exists there, right? Is there an opportunity that exists? You find your opportunities and what skills you have to build for it. And the next thing is impact, right? For you to be successful, it's not just because you have the skill and you have the opportunity present. Both of them should come forward and give you an impact, so that you can see a growth as part of that learning as well. So as I said, you use this triangle to say what you want, and to the next triangle that you use is, how are you going to do it? Are you going to build the skills? Are you going to look for impact? And are you going to, is there an opportunity? And can I have impact, right? Now, once you understood that, you've shortlisted people. The last important thing is that, I call this graph the XY graph, and I call this X-axis as number of skills. You're going to pick skill 1, skill 2, and what you're going to specialize on. So typically, people have to be a little bit careful. And this is called a time axis, how much time you're spending on each skill. And ಜನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೋಬೇಕಂತ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, the time spent is the same, but you build a skill graph like this, right? Which is peaking at a very low level. So what this graph is saying, ನೀನು ಎಷ್ಟಾದ್ರೂ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಟೈಮು, there are only certain areas you have strength, so there only you will peak, right? Instead of that, you just build enough skills so that you can have meaningful conversations about various areas. But you just take your strength and speak it to this level so high that, it always comes to your advantage and gives the output that you want. So transform the needs of the opportunity and the impact that you're going to have around your skills. So let me give you an example of this, right? You can be an engineering manager, right? You can be an engineering manager because you have specifically chosen to go and manage teams and, build teams and build vision and directions. but your strength might not be the deepest part of technology, right? But your strength might be still you're a product sensitive guy. So like you understand the product, you understand the customer sentiment very well. So you should use that part of your strength, know enough technology to have a meaningful conversation, but still augment your product skills stronger. So this framework, if you apply and follow at every phase and you use this as a retrospective tool, it really helps and helps you gauge where you stand. So just to repeat, it's a two triangle and a T rule. When you're trying to make a particular career change, first decide what you want. You want level, money, or you just want level, money, or you want to learn. Then for the specific thing that you've picked, do you know what skills you need to build? And is there an opportunity? And can the skills and the opportunity align to have an impact? For example, you might say, hey, there is a company that has got a good opportunity for machine learning, and I can go build my skills around the place. But guess what? The company's vision and direction is not very well kept. They can never have an impact in the next 3 years. So you might land up learning, but you might not see the fruits and the impact of that when you pick that particular company. So you have to be sure that, hey, will I be able to build a skill? Will does the opportunity exist? And if they both exist, will I be able to create an impact? Once you know that, and then where you decide to spend the time, and you'll actually decide to spend the time in such a way that you will only augment your strengths, and you will only just spend time on peripherals of just building enough skills to support you. So this is the tool that I got from my mentors. It really helped me to transition from a dev to a product manager to a TPM and then to a senior manager of a team and stuff. So will I call myself, with this tool that, have I been really successful and, really been at a, like grown to the next biggest level? No, but am I really happy? Am I really able to fall back and introspect? Absolutely. And anytime I file crisis and I use this evaluation tool, it tells me, is it time for change? Is it time for trying something new? So just wanted to share it. I have many such things which I've learned from my mentors and stuff. I don't know, like send in your feedbacks. If you have specific questions, I'm a very visual guy and I should be able to share my experience, and I would like to learn from you all as well. I know there are a lot of talented senior people in this group, and I would like to learn from you folks as well. And one last thing to say that, as we know, as we all interact, we all are hiring for various levels, and we're all giving opportunities to people. So reach out to us, and we're always there, and we have plenty of openings. So yes, we can help you folks make that career change. Thank you.
Very well, very well. ಬಹಳನೇ ಸುಂದರವಾಗಿ ಡೆಪಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವಿನೋದ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇವ್ರ ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಭಾಷಣ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಲರ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕರಿಯರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕಲರ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್. ನೋಡಿ, 2 ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್, 2 ತ್ರಿಕೋನ ಆಗುವಂತ ಟೀ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕರಿಯರ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ 4 ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅಮೆಝಾನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿಲಿರೋ 4-5 ಹುದ್ದೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಇವರೇ. ಶಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಡೆವಲಪರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, SD ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ TPM ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ರೋಲ್, ಒಂದು ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇನ್ AWS. ಸೊ ಆಗ್ಲೂ 4-5 ಕರಿಯರ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅವರ. ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಯು ಇನ್ ಅಮೆಝಾನ್ ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಯು ಜಾಯ್ನ್ಡ್? 5 years. 5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲೇ 5 ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಹುದ್ದೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಮೆಝಾನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅವರೇ ಗ್ರೋ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಟು. ಗುಡ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಆನ್ ದಟ್, ವಿನಿ. ಸೊ ಮುಂದೆ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿನಯ್ ಟು ಸ್ಪೀಕ್. ವಿನಯ್ ಸೋಮಶೇಖರ್, ನಾ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆರೆಂಜ್ ಕೌಂಟಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಓದಿ ಬೆಳೆದು ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಆಡಿ, UCI ಅಲ್ವಾ ವಿನಯ್? Yeah, even to UCI, graduate from UCI, and then is Taco Bell corporate ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ವೃತ್ತಿ ಜೀವನದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕೇಳೋಣ ಬನ್ನಿ. What do you, Vinay?
Thank you. So Vinod had kind of brought to our little group here this idea that he had for having a little career Vana type call, and the moment he mentioned that, I was extremely interested in participating. Because career has always been something that I have been passionate about, because when I was going into college at UC Irvine, I was part of a professional business fraternity, and I picked up a lot of different tidbits, advice, tips, and skill sets through that journey. And I always have this passion or interest to want to give back and coach other people, and also be coached myself, because I'm still very young in my career, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are so much further that I'd love to learn from. So I really wanted to partake in something like this, because I think that career is one of the big pillars of life, right? I think that if we look at all of our different pillars that we all juggle on a daily basis, from your personal life, like your family, your physical health, your mental health, spiritual health, and everything, all the way to things like the social life that you have with your friends and relationships and stuff. Um, you know, and obviously professional and career is another big kind of pillar in this in one's life, and I think it's something that we all have to kind of keep top of mind. Maybe it's one of those things where it's very easy for it to fall off the wagon almost. Like, when you get to maybe, let's call it around 30, 35 years old, you kind of shift your focus maybe to family, for instance, and it's easy to lose track of a couple of years, and then you kind of feel like maybe you're behind in your career, or you kind of want to step it up and kind of nudge forward in that realm, after you kind of uh, upstart a family and things. And it's very the professional world changes very quickly, right? So having a forum like this, I think, is very helpful for a lot of different people, whether you're in a young person coming straight out of college, for instance, and you're looking for entry level positions, whether you're kind of maybe making that jump from being like an individual contributor to now managing people, whether you're at the end of your career, or so you're somewhere in the middle and you've maybe want to lean back in and accelerate a career path, or you want to make a career change and things. And I thought that with this community that we have so many smart and talented people for everybody to share. And so um, I really wanted to be part of this, and I encourage everybody watching to hopefully participate as well. In terms of things that I can contribute to this kind of community, I have very uh, you know vast experience in things like resume and cover letter, editing and crafting, interviewing skill sets and stuff like that for different roles. Networking. I'm very passionate about mentorship, and I think that that's a very big thing that everyone should seek and also give back. And these are the things that I would really hope that we can kind of foster in this community. And I think with so many bright people and so many different careers that people have chosen, also highlighting either somebody's role, like maybe somebody can present and kind of talk about their day to day, or what their function or role kind of does in a company, so that people that aren't too privy to that can learn something new. Or somebody that works in a specific industry, like for instance, I happen to work in food and beverage, and there may not be as many people that work in that kind of industry. I'd be happy to present something like that. So I think there's a lot of potential for these kinds of sessions. And so, I just wanted to kind of welcome everybody to this. Before I hand it over, I just wanted to round out, just a tidbit on the same topic that Vinod just covered, which is about career changes. One thing that I learned in my career so far, which is obviously not that long yet, maybe it's only about a decade long or so, but one thing that served me very well that I kind of wanted to share with everybody else, if it's helpful at all. One piece of advice that I got is, well, first of all, before I get to the advice, one thing that I have happened to stumble upon myself is, I think there's this preconceived notion that, when you're a kid and everybody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And obviously, when you're a kid, it starts out like a fireman or a policeman or this or that. And eventually, when you get to high school or even college, then you start figuring out, I want to be this, I want to be that. And so I think once you get to college and you graduate, you somehow filter into some sort of career, right? You become, a software development engineer, you become whatever else. And I think what happens is, I think people kid themselves thinking that they might do that same thing for another, 40 years of their life or something, until they retire. I think what I learned very quickly in my career is that you constantly ask yourself, what do I want to be when I grow up? Because even within 1 year, a job might get uninteresting or boring, or maybe you feel like you can learn more somewhere else, you want to grow and develop. And if you constantly ask yourself that question, what do I want to be when I grow up? I think that's what kind of pushes you to kind of, figure out how you want to navigate your career, because it's such a long journey. And so for that, I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've been given that I would give others is one thing that's always stuck with me is every single person's career, there's usually it's a matrix of two things. You work in an industry and you have a role at the company within that industry. So for instance, I could speak about myself. I work in strategy, corporate strategy, and finance. That's kind of the role that I'm in. And the industry I work in is food and beverage, right? And so when it comes to career change, I think the biggest thing is that that I was told, and I think has held true in all of the career moves that I've made, is you try to hold one of those things constant while changing the other thing if you're trying to make a change. And I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm in food and beverage right now at Taco Bell. If I'm doing something like finance, it might be much easier for me to pick up something like marketing, for instance, or whatever else within that space, because I'm already familiar with the industry and I can take that knowledge and I can go try something new in a different domain of knowledge, right? Within that same industry. And so making that career switch is actually much easier than trying to change both at the same time. Another example could be I work within finance and strategy now in the food and beverage space, but I can take my same domain knowledge, like my finance and strategy skill set, and I can maybe switch that industry and I can maybe go into something like the defense sector, right? And I can go maybe work at Boeing or something. So it's completely different than food and beverage, but I'm still, the core skill set that I have, which is finance and strategy, I can go apply in a different company that's in a completely different industry. I think where people get into trouble is they try to make too big or drastic of a change at once, and it's very difficult to do that because you cannot really exhibit how you can add value to that new company or the existing company you're at if you're not holding one of those two things constant. So I think if you think about career switching in that kind of light, it makes the planning that journey a lot easier when you kind of think about that two-dimensional matrix where it's between your industry that you're in as well as the role that you're in. So just wanted to cover off on my 2 cents on the career change thing that Vinod brought up. And with that, I'll wrap up and hand it back to Sridhar to take us through the home stretch.
Yeah, just to add, Vinay, it's exactly the same as inverted T, right? You're saying play to your strengths, right? Or keep your keep one of the dimensions constant in all the change. So that kind of helps you out. Yeah, I think it's a very important point that you make. Career making moves and career changing moves happening in the pantries, we're missing that. So this will be a good thing to do. So I think it's a great start. We can also answer questions on the fly or pull in people on the fly and get some topics, and we can talk about. There's a huge potential. We'll go in a very open mind and we'll go see how we can go about it. And it'll be good to know with Sridhar recent agi fan company ಸೇರಿದ್ರು, so ಅವ್ರದ್ದು move ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. So you can
let me speak a little bit of that. Fan company ಸೇರ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಬಹಳ ದಿನಗಳಿಂದ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಯಾಕೋ ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ ಝೋನ್ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಮಾರು 16 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಟಿಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಇವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಫುಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬೆವರೇಜ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ಅಂತ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ವಿನಯ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಆ ರೀತಿ ನಾನು ಸುಮಾರು 16 years ಟಿಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಅಮೆರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಟಿಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್, ಬಿಗ್ ಒನ್ಸ್, ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್, tickets.com, ಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಯೋಲನ್ ಹೆಸರೇ ಕೇಳಿದಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಯೋಲನ್ does ticketing for almost 98% of US colleges. So ಅಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತು. ಸ್ಟಬ್ ಹಬ್ ಕೇಳಿರ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು, ಒಂದನ್ನ 10 ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾರ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಐ ವಾಸ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡೆವಲಪಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ APIs ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸಾಕಾಯ್ತು, 16 ವರ್ಷ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹಿಮಾಲಯಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದು ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 5 ವರ್ಷ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಬಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಷ್ಟಗಳು ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದಾಗ ಚೇಂಜ್ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ, ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಖಂಡಿತ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಇದೆ. ಜನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ 25 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಿದೆ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಸೆಟಲ್ ಡೌನ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಬಿಗರ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅಂತ ಅಮೆಝಾನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋ, ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಲಿಂಕ್ಡ್ಇನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾವು ಈ ಕರಿಯರ್ ವರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಕರಿಯರ್ ಹರಟೆ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತಾಗ್ಲೇ. ಸೊ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀರಾ, ಲಿಂಕ್ಡ್ಇನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಯಂ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ಸ್ ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಸಿಗ್ತವೆ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀರಾ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಎಪಿಸೋಡ್ಸ್. So LinkedIn alli a recruiter approached, and it was a slow process initially to get the interview scheduled, but Amazon interview process ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ನನಗೆ ಈ ಬಿಗ್ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಂಪ್ನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂಥರ ಮಿತ್ತಿದೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದೇ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ದೀಸ್ ಕಲ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಕ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್, ವಿಚಿತ್ರವಾದ ಪಜಲ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಅವಹೇಳನ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಅಥವಾ to criticize you, that put you down type of questions, to try to act smarter kind of questions ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಕೋತಾ ಇದೆ. None of that happened with Amazon actually. Amazon's interview, and in fact that's what is happening in many other big companies these days. If it's engineering role, of course, there'll be coding exercise given, and also there'll be behavioral questions. But software development manager or senior manager, director roles, and kuda that'll be quite technical, but it'll be behavioral technical. Andre Amazon believes on 16 leadership principles as laid out by Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. So ಆ 16 ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ವೃತ್ತಿ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ನೀವು ನಾನು ಹೊಯ್ಸಳ ಬಾಲವನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಲೋಕಲ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಂಘ KCA ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡ ಶಾಲೆ ಆರೆಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಶಾಲೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಆಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇರೋ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಕೂಡ you can give in those leadership questions. So but ultimately technical rounds we do where you're asked to design something in like half hour. So it was good experience, I must say. Like 6 loop initial interview, and then loop of 6 people talking to you, and then once you get an offer and you accept it, Amazon ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಫ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅಂತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್, ಆಪಲ್, ಅಮೆಝಾನ್, ನೆಟ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗೂಗಲ್, ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಂಪನಿಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಹೈರಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್ ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೊನೆಯ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ where you get to interview the various teams, managers of various teams, and you get to decide. It's called a sell call. So the managers of various teams try to sell their team, their product to you. So Alexa the other team jothe maatadde, facial recognition team jothe maatadde, and then Silk browser, Amazon has their own browser, adru ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಈ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಯಲ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಅಂಗಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ electronic labels, shelf labels iರೋ team jothe maatadi. I was impressed with the product and the number of stores and the people it will impact and the products it will impact. So ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಓನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ನ ಇದೊಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ತಂಡ ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು, ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 16 ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್, ಇದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಅಮೆಝಾನ್ ಪ್ರೊಪ್ರೈಟರಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು amazon.jobs ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ LPs ಅಂತ ಹುಡುಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ 16 ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಇನ್ನು ವಿಶೇಷ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಅಮೆಝಾನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಅಥವಾ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್, ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್, ಯಾವುದೇ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ಗೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಈ 16 ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೇಂದ್ರೀಕೃತವಾಗಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅರೌಂಡ್ ದಿ 16 ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರಲ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್, and it can be made technical or non-technical. So if you're interviewing for a software engineer role, adna behavioral questions ನೀವು ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ರೀತಿಲೂ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ maybe we can have specific sessions, since we have another Amazon employee in the panel here. Between the two of us we can cover all those principles. Or I'm sure ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆರೆಂಜ್ ಕೌಂಟಿ, ಸದರ್ನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲಿಫೋರ್ನಿಯಾ ಇರೋ ಕನ್ನಡ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು ಅಮೆಝಾನ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರುಗಳು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ನ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ದಿಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್, ಸೊ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಸೀಕ್ರೆಟಿವ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್, ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಶೇರ್ ದಟ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಬೇರೆ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹುದ್ದೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಚೀವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಹೇಗೆ ಗ್ರೋ ಆದ್ರಿ ಇಂಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಚೇಂಜ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ವೈಟ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ರೋಲ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಗೂ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸರಿ, ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಗೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸರಿ, ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಗೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸರಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಆ ವೈಟ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕಡೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ವೆರಿ ನೈಸ್, ಹೌ ಟು ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಅಂತ.
Thank you, Sridhar. Thank you, Vinod, for initiating this, and of course, as usual, Sridhar, to setting up this stage and providing this platform to everybody. Yeah, and I can see this one having great potential as we move forward. It can be all types of careers. For us, most of the time, we've been growing up, and even now, most of us will be in technology. But there's so much more potential to this. You can see, spreading its wings towards all kinds of work, right? And just like even Vinay mentioned, food and beverage, but then there's so many others, services and products and other types of careers that we don't even imagine while going to schools and colleges. But even just technology, there's so many new changes and opportunities coming up. I mean, I myself have been in different roles. I was a developer, been to QA, and now working as a product manager in Guitar Center. Mainly in ad tech before, and now in e-commerce and retail store business. I have quite a few breadth-wise experience, fortunately or unfortunately, but I can see so many people getting benefits out of these. I hope it spreads to, and there are a lot more participants as well as audience, and potential job seekers or change seekers, like Vinod was mentioning. So I'm hoping that will benefit our community and beyond as well. And I am looking forward to this, and hopefully, we'll all be able to contribute, help each other, and also personally grow as well. So thank you, everyone.
ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇವಾಗ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಕಶ್ಯಪ್ ಹೇಳ್ದ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ ನಾವು. ಆ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ ಇವಾಗ. ಸೊ ಆ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ, ಆಕ್ಯುಪೇಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಯು ವುಡ್ಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ಡ್ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕರಿಯರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರ ಬಳಗದಲ್ಲೇ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಚಾರ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಸ್, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಸ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್, teachers and all that. So I think somebody's working in the New York ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋರೊಬ್ರು NYPD ನಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಕೂಡ. ಸೊ ಯಾರೊಬ್ರು ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ರೈಲ್, what's the equivalent in New York City. So we'll see if we can reach out for everybody. Just ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು I think I'll thank Vinay, and I think Vinod had to step away, and then Kashyap as well for joining. ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ. ನೀವು ಸಲಹೆಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಡಿ, give us your inputs, and we will continue this maybe weekly or bi-weekly as we can. Thank you.